Does your soul long for heaven? That's a question that a new book sets out to answer from a scientific as well as spiritual perspective. Here to talk about his book, The Soul's Upward Yearning, is Father Robert Spitzer. Thank you for coming on the show, Father. Tell us, why did you write this book?
I think we're living in a materialistic culture, and so many of our younger people are being persuaded in that direction that they don't even have a soul. They don't have a transcendent nature. They're not destined for heaven. Basically, they're a clump of atoms and molecules. And in order to kind of remedy this closet materialism, I thought I would give the best scientific and philosophical and spiritual evidence for our soul, for transcendent nature, that not only students could use in college, but that teachers could use, and that could even be conveyed by those teachers to high schools, so that they really know heaven awaits them, and they're not just a clump of atoms and molecules.
And Father, obviously your book comes out at a very important time because, as you know, the Pew Research has just come out with a significant study talking about how more and more Americans are moving away from religion, becoming atheists, becoming non-religious. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, the Pew Research is absolutely correct. It's been ongoing for 3 years. We're increasing at about 1% per year in unbelief. We've moved from about a 24% to about a 36% level in 11 years, which is just crushing. So the book is absolutely necessary. There was a great study done by the American Psychiatric Association by Candida Dervick and 10 other authors that basically showed that people who are not religiously affiliated have much higher suicide rates, attempted suicides, meaninglessness, despondency, impulse aggressivity, family difficulties and tensions, and substance abuse problems. So you can see the importance of religion. So this is not just going to affect, this decline in religion, this decline in transcendence. It's not just going to affect our religious organization. It's going to affect the culture itself and have a very, very negative impact. So we have to get the evidence out there so that the kids are not naively persuaded otherwise.
Okay, so I talked about the scientific nature of your book. Can you talk about that and go into the science aspect and what people would say? Surely there isn't a scientific connection to spiritual things like this. You would say what?
I would say, first of all, we have now with very good studies done on near-death experiences in peer-reviewed medical journals, right? So you have this recent Samuel Parnia study from the University of Southampton in 2014 with 2,060 patients. You have the Lommel study, which comes out of the Lancet, which is Britain's most prestigious medical journal. So these studies are very, very fine studies. And what they show is that, at the time of death, actually, you do have a spiritual quote unquote body that leaves your physical body and is capable of seeing and hearing, consciousness, remembering. All your thoughts, your memories are still in place. You're able to report verifiable data after the fact. And by the way, 80% of blind people, who most of whom have not seen throughout their entire lives, see for the first time when they're clinically dead. Flat EEG, no gag reflex, fixed and dilated pupils, no electrical activity in the brain. And for the first time in their lives, they're reporting verifiable data after the fact. I mean, how do you explain this except consciousness is surviving and goes, by the way, to heaven?
Sure. I was wondering, what encouragement does this give to those who believe in God and have a relationship with Jesus Christ?
Oh, I think it certainly verifies. I mean, the correlations between the scientific data, say on near-death experiences, and on the resurrection narratives and the Christian preaching on the resurrection is unbelievably similar. For example, the primacy of love in the kingdom of heaven. Many of these people, they leave the operating room, they go to another domain. They're embraced by a loving white light. Some of these good feature films that have come out, these of course are anecdotal films, like Heaven is for Real, told by a little kid, or Evan Alexander's book, on the reality of heaven and so forth. These things are really verified by these good medical studies, peer-reviewed medical studies. And what we see is that, the Christian teaching on love and the resurrection, the Christian teaching on the spiritual body, right, that pneumatica soma is very, very much validated in what's going on in these near-death experiences. In other words, what Jesus said and the way Jesus appeared seems to be manifest in now these new studies that have been done.
Sure.
And that should give us encouragement, not that Jesus needs any help from the scientific world for validation, but it seems that a lot of young people in the culture need that in order to be persuaded too about the teaching of Jesus and its validity in light of contemporary science.
Okay, terrific. Fascinating insights. The book is called The Soul's Upward Yearning. Father Robert Spitzer, thank you so much for this book, and thank you for coming on the broadcast.
Thank you for allowing me to do so.
You're welcome, sir.